Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome tonight to the Dre Broadcasting Network as we go side by side with the Precision Racing League American iRacing Sunday Series. Well, tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is round number 8 of 8, which means the race before the chase at the same time, the end of the regular race season, and once again, before the chase begins next week at Phoenix. But tonight we are racing at Texas Motor Speedway for the Ironic Last Stand 195. That's the Ironic Last Stand 195. Texas Motor Speedway. I'm a commentator, Sean Zulu, and joining me up in the booth is David Everly. How are you tonight, Dave?
Doing pretty good. How you doing, Sean?
Doing good too, thank you. Well, tonight, man, a heck of a race to come. And ladies and gentlemen, get those seatbelts ready, your popcorn ready, your refreshments ready. It's going to be a wild race. But let's take a recap from the last race we had at Iowa Speedway last week. That was round 7 of 8. In that race, we had James O'Brien bring it home for his 3rd win of the season. And James O'Brien, road trip racing driver. Dale Robertson came out second. That's Dale Robertson came out second, representing the Simtech Racing team. Brandon Massey came out 3rd with Ironic Sim Racing. Craig Hawkins came out 4th with a new team name, Tifosi Racing. That's Tifosi. That's Craig Hawkins 4th. Eric Roberts came out 5th with Ironic Sim Racing. Trevor White came out 6th. No Fear Racing. John LaBeouf came out 7th. No Fear Racing. Matthew Cisna came out 8th. No Fear Racing. Brandon Walter came out 9th. Road Trip Racing. And Paul D. Johnson came out 10th. Road Trip Racing driver as well. Well, moving on to our current point standings, we have James O'Brien leading in points. And James O'Brien is already locked into the chase. He is a chase driver. Craig Hawkins, 2nd in points. Dale Robertson, 3rd in points. Dustin Hall, 4th in points. Johnny Pierce, 5th in points. John LaBeouf, 6th. Brandon Walter, 7th. Stephen Harry, 8th. Kyle Souza, 9th. And Poe D. Johnson rounding up the top 10 in the points standings. And here, James O'Brien, once again, Road Trip Racing. Craig Hawkins, Tifosi Racing. Dale Robertson, Simtech Racing. Dustin Hall, Simtech Racing. And Johnny Pierce, Simtech Racing. We also have John LaBeouf, No Fear Racing, Road Trip Racing with Brandon Walter. Stephen Harry is Overclock Motorsports. Kyle Souza, Overclock Motorsports. And Paul D. Johnson, Road Trip Racing. And so that gives us 3 drivers of the Simtech Racing drivers, or 3 of the Simtech Racing drivers are in the top 10. That's Dale Robertson, Dustin Hall, and Johnny Pierce. At the same time, 2 Overclock Motorsports drivers, Stephen Harry and Kyle Souza, in the top 10, 8th and 9th place. Well, going to tonight's race here at Texas Motor Speedway, currently the drivers are qualifying. And looking at the stats here tonight, we do have an 82-degree Fahrenheit track temp, mostly cloudy with an air temperature of 71-degree Fahrenheit. And it is afternoon and winds from the east at 11 miles per hour, and this track is 1.5 miles in length. And tonight the driver is going around for 130 laps with a full tank, giving us an expected 2 pit stops in order for them to be able to make it the full length of the way. And we have Daniel Wilborn here so far, the post sitter, with behind him the 11 of Brandon Massey, but so far only 17 drivers have qualified. And ladies and gentlemen, this is the Precision Racing League American iRacing Sunday Series. Check them out at precisionracingleague.com and also on iRacing at Precision Racing League. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight is the last chance, final opportunity for the drivers to get themselves locked into this chase. Once we go green flag racing, I will give you guys some information about the chase, but so far looks like gridding has now begun, so only a few seconds before we go down the list. Well, ladies and gentlemen, and one of the aliens here, the 10 of Daniel Wilborn, is the post sitter. 11 of Brandon Massey starting second. 16 of Joni Pierce, who had some bad luck last week. He got wrecked out with less than 5 laps in. Starting third. Dustin Hall fourth. Cotton Lane fifth. Dale Robertson sixth. Matthew Cisna seventh. Craig Hawkins eighth. Kyle Souza 9th, and Stephen Mattox in the 10th place position. The 99 of Brandon Walter 11th, 45 Eddie Hawks 12th, Paul D. Johnson 13th, Eric Roberts 14th, Zachary York 15th, David Dreckman 16th, Rory Collins 17th, James O'Brien 18th, we have Sean Timmerman 19th, I just got messed up, but so the rest of the drivers here, we have Sean Timmerman, Ken Caruthers, Stephen Harry, John LaBeouf, Stephen Walter, and Ronald McManus, giving us at least 25 drivers starting tonight's race. And ladies and gentlemen, so far the drivers locked into this chase. We have James O'Brien, Dale Robertson, and including Joni Pierce. These 3 drivers already locked in. And ladies and gentlemen, these drivers locked in by because of winning at least 1 race during the season, throughout the season. And this race they'll be taking, the chase series they'll be taking at least, the 12 drivers total, basically. 12 total drivers will be taken. But the drivers cannot miss more than 2 races. So that means they'll have to make 6 of the 8 races raced in the regular race season to be eligible. And with that said, of all the drivers who are locked into the chase, to fill up the rest of the spots, they'll take the higher drivers in points who made at least 6 races all season long, ladies and gentlemen. So still a lot needs to be done by the drivers. And in the case of the 10 of Daniel Wilborn, unfortunately, Daniel Wilborn here, one of the aliens, he has already 2 wins under his belt so far this season. But unfortunately, he's not going to be in the chase because he has missed 3 races this season, so he's not eligible, unfortunately. But we are now going green this time around as we speak, behind the pace car being led by the 10 of Wilborn, and Joni Pierce behind him on the inside. On the outside line is Massey, but the pace car dips off, and here Wilborn still holding pace speed. The green flag is out, and Wilborn finds the gas pedal. Massey on the outside line sees it coming in time to occupy the outside of Wilborn before turn 1, but here back down single file, lap 1 for 130 laps. The ironic last stand, 195. And already on the exit of turn 2 and on lap number 1, Joni Pierce moving up 1 spot ahead of 11 of Brandon Massey. The 37 of Dustin Hall so far, he is the 5th place in line, and a battle up front for second place driver, of second and third place drivers, Massey and Joni Pierce going at it side by side. But it's already attracting some attention. 60 of Cotton Lane to the inside of 16 of Pierce. Ladies and gentlemen, Texas Motor Speedway has been known to claim a lot of drivers on the exit of turn 2, the turn 2 wall, the most dangerous turn there is on this track, similar to Charlotte. And these drivers, we talked to James O'Brien last week. He talked about how he's going to approach this track like he did Charlotte, basically. These 2 tracks, well, Texas Motor Speedway and Charlotte Motor Speedway, are very similar. So slow in, fast out works very, very well. But here as we speak, Joni Pierce now being moved down to the 4th place spot. Cotton Lane in the 3rd place spot. Massey 2nd place. And Daniel Wilborn's lead is getting nothing but bigger as we speak. He's now being shown about 1 second ahead of 2nd place driver 11 of Massey. But we have a battle going on here behind 16 of Joni Pierce. It's between 22 of Cisna and the 3 of Dale Robertson going at it side by side off the exit of turn 2. Cisna goes around 3 of Robertson, and the Budweiser machine so far just settles in the 7th place spot behind Cisna. Well, scratch that side by side off turn 4. Ladies and gentlemen, this track does takes tires a lot. Basically, the tire wear is not the best at this track, especially with how much speed these guys are carrying through these turns and a lot of friction. Oh man, the caution flies this time around on lap 5. Gonna see what happened.
That looks like that's going to collect the 19 of Zach York as we pull up the Dre Broadcasting replay. We're going to go back and take a look at it. Oh, looks like maybe some contact there between the 19 and the 28. We see if we can get a little closer look here. Oh yeah, contact in the right rear fender. That sends the 19 around. He gets a little squiggly. He's got a little front left damage, and then smacks hard into the walls. These guys do not have quick fixes here.
Oh man, indeed, that's unfortunate for Zachary York. Having such a negative turn of events, only 5 laps into the race, and man, yeah, he'll spend a lot of time on pit road getting that damage fixed by his team. But hopefully he's still able to, the good thing is the machine is still running, it doesn't look pretty, but it is still running, so you should be able to still, doing good enough to keep up. But just one negative effect right there, a lot of damage on the front end. With that said, it's going to be easy for the machine to blow up due to the airflow getting restricted and the radiator on the front of the machine. And we always see it every single time drivers have that much damage and go green flag racing. Sooner or later, they do end up blowing up. But everybody, as we speak, is on pit road as Daniel Wilborn led them. And the race off pit road was won by 33 of David Dreckman. We have 99 of Brandon Walter, second place behind Dreckman, Daniel Wilborn third, Dale Robertson fourth, and Brandon Massey in that 5th place spot.
Actually, Sean, it looks like David Dreckman missed his pit stall because he did not go in and take any tires or fuel.
Oh, 10-4, man, yep, so Dreckman will be going down pit road here before too long. Yeah, he should be pitting in most likely this time around. Yes, he goes onto the apron and going down pit road as we speak. And so the 10 of Wilborn is going to maintain the race lead this time around on lap 7, crossing the start-finish line for lap 8. And ladies and gentlemen, going back to the chase, just as a reminder, so we have 12 total chase spots. So 12 spots in the chase total. And you have to win your way in, basically. So in this case, James O'Brien, Dale Robertson, Joni Pierce, these drivers are already locked into the chase after winning at least one race throughout the whole entire season. And the remaining spots will be filled by the top X in points. Basically, that means in this case, so we have, let's see, 3 drivers already locked into this chase. And that means, that just means that now the 9 drivers, the top 9 drivers in points who made at least 6 races will be the ones filling up the rest of the spots to give us 12 drivers in the chase to go against Markel Murphy for the title. Ladies and gentlemen, Markel Murphy left quite the an impact last season. Heck of a driver, and season before that as well. We look forward to hopefully having him back next season, trying to take his throne back from the upcoming champion. At the same time, ladies and gentlemen, the way the chase is going to work, the 12 drivers in the chase will have points starting at 1,000 points and will go down from there. And for each of the 4 rounds, the drivers are going to earn their points as they would in the regular season, including bonus points. And following the first 2 rounds of the chase races, basically chase race number 1 and 2, they'll eliminate the bottom 6 drivers. So the bottom 6 drivers in the chase point standings will be eliminated. And then chase race 3 and 4, the final 6 drivers will be going at it for the championship. So elimination race coming up after chase race number 2. Ladies and gentlemen, going back up front, we are back 1 to green, still being led by Daniel Wilborn with the help of 11 of Brandon Massey. On the outside line, Dale Robertson with the help of the 60 of Colton Lane. We are going green this time around. The pace car dips off and Daniel Wilborn gets a great restart. Enough of a restart that Dale Robertson was able to get a good jump to maintain second place against 60 of Colton Lane and 11 of Brandon Massey, who are now side by side through turns 1 and 2. Ladies and gentlemen, the outside line never ever the place to be on a start or restart. And so far, Colton Lane is settling for the 4th place spot, but nope, not quite. 16 of Johnny Pierce to his inside. And ladies and gentlemen, these drivers going at it the first 5 laps of every single run, because that's when they have the most grip during that specific run. So these drivers trying to take while they can. We see a lot of green flag racing, ladies and gentlemen. The drivers who take care of their stuff are the drivers who are going to benefit the most. Can't find my words there. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to come down to drivers who save their stuff. So these guys have 2 options. They can either choose to push now, gain now, and lose later, or they can lose now and gain later. What that means, they can save their stuff now and gain spots later once they save their stuff, or they can gain now and lose later, because if they gain now, they are burning up their stuff early on. But so far here we have Colton Lane in the 7th place spot, now behind the 14 of Paul D. Johnson, 45 of Eddie Hawks as well in this mix. That is 5th, 6th, and 7th place drivers very, very close to each other, with Colton Lane in a Napa Auto Parts Napa know-how machine trying to occupy the inside of Paul D. Johnson, but so far having no luck. Well, Johnson to the inside of 45 Eddie Hawks, side by side. A lot of single file going on as we speak. Drivers trying to settle down, trying to save these tires. They know that the more they save, the more they'll benefit themselves. And as we speak, 14 of Pierce, 14 of Johnson still going at it with 45 of Eddie Hawks, side by side here between turns 1 and 2. Slingshot off turn 2 by Eddie Hawks. Yes, it is engaged, but still a drag race before turn 3. And the later the run goes, ladies and gentlemen, the more the outside line comes to life as Eddie Hawks gets loose off the exit of turn 4. The machine got sideways. That was him jerking the wheel as hard as he could to the left, because the wall came way too close for comfort. And now Eddie Hawks is going to lose 2 spots to Paul D. Johnson and Colton Lane, and now bumps down to the 7th place spot behind Colton Lane. And Colton Lane as well still trying to apply pressure to the 14 of Johnson, but then Colton tapped the apron entering turn 3. Speed momentum has been lost, and enough time for Eddie Hawks to occupy his inside. And the 22 of Matthew Cisna here is getting in this mix now behind the 45 of Eddie Hawks. He has been, but he's now caught 45 of Eddie Hawks. At the same time, he's trying to make moves. No, Cisna taps the apron. Lost all speed momentum. Oh man, a big freight train by 23 of Craig Hawkins behind him with the help of 6 of Steven Mattox. Oh, Cisna goes from about 9th place to 11th place in one turn. Maybe even going to the 11th place spot, because John LaBath as well in the mix. One man's mistake is another man's benefit, ladies and gentlemen, here on the track. And as we speak, 22 of Cisna is still paying the price. And John LaBath pulling the 55 so far of Stephen Walter off the exit of turn 4. Cisna trying to hang on to it nice and tight, but so far no luck. And 28 of Eric Roberts as well has seen a free lunch program and an opportunity to get around Marty Cisna, and he takes it as we speak. And Cisna just losing spots left and right with every single lap. It is a free lunch program for everybody, because behind Eric Roberts is the 9 of James O'Brien in the Napa Auto Parts machine. But Cisna so far has caught a break in between Roberts and the 55 of Stephen Walter. Oh man, Eric Roberts gets very loose off the exit of turn number 2. No harm done. Still maintains 13th place spot against the 9 of James O'Brien. And some side-by-side going on. A little bit up front, we have the 3 of Darrell Robertson on the outside line. Darrell Robertson in the 2nd place spot as Massey goes against him on the inside line. But Massey fell short. His machine pushed up. He had to let off the gas to avoid causing trouble. So he lost momentum and speed, but he's still on the inside of Darrell Robertson. But the more these two drivers battle, the more they're getting caught and approached by 16 of Johnny Pierce and the 14 of Paul D. Johnson. And one thing I forgot to mention so far in tonight's race, ladies and gentlemen, the winner, the new champion of this season, gets the trophy you see on the bottom right of your screen. That's right, that big trophy right there, courtesy of John LaBeouf right here with the Precision Racing League American iRacing Sunday Series. That is quite the masterpiece, ladies and gentlemen. So the champion gets that trophy, and that's a lot. That's more than enough motivation to get the job done. $14 of Paul D. Johnson to the inside of $11 of Brandon Massey. Brandon Massey was battling with Joe Robertson for 2nd place, but now he's battling to maintain that 4th place spot as Paul D. Johnson here so far. On the exit of turn 4, goes around him. Yes, he clears him successfully. And the 11 of Massey actually let off the gas there to avoid kissing that wall. But I saw a driver pull off the track. Exiting turn 4, that was Rory Collins. Yep, Rory Collins, as we speak, is on pit road, and the machine is more silent than ever before, so he most likely blew his motor. I think he blew his motor. Yep, he makes it into his pit stall. Hopefully he's able to get back out on the track. Oh, yep, I was watching Rory Collins. It looks like he was just running. He made no contact whatsoever with anything. And on the exit of turn number 2, on the backstretch, pretty much, a big loud boom was heard with a big puff of smoke from the rear end of the 35 machine of Collins. He had some front end damage, ladies and gentlemen. That's what front end damage does with these machines. It restricts the airflow to the radiator. It affects the cooling, basically. And once those temps go too high, the pressure has to be released somehow, and that's the big loud boom with some heavy smoke at the exact same time. So unfortunately, Rory Collins has retired for the evening, but we look forward to seeing him back for Chase Race 1 next week at Phoenix. Going back up front, we have the 60 of Cotton Lane going against the 11 of Brandon Massey. Brandon Massey was running in 2nd place, but looks like he has had trouble he's been burning up his stuff, battling, trying to hold these guys off on the outside line. But now he's bumped down to the 6th place spot, so he's lost 4 spots total in the last 15 to 17 laps. And so far is settling for the 6th place spot behind the 60 of Cotton Lane. And now Cotton Lane's next victim is going to be the 14 of Paul D. Johnson. And we have a driver on pit road. That is Zachary York, I believe. Yes, Zachary York, the driver who got a piece of the action there with the contact, is still on pit road getting the damage fixed. For the back in the pack, the 6 of Steven Mattox so far, trying to catch up to his next victim, 55 of Steven Walter. In turn, Mattox trying to hold off 22 of Matthew Cisna. Last we checked on Cisna, he was getting freight trained, well, overtaken left and right, but looks like he was able to get back around the 28 of Eric Roberts. So Cisna now keeping his eyes on the prize, the 6 of Steven Mattox. Looks like Cisna was able to, has been able to save his tires enough this far to stabilize his spot and gain time against the drivers up ahead of him while trying to hold off Eric Roberts. And for the back in this pack, we have John LaBeouf. John LaBeouf, 0-0 of Kyle Souza so far, single file and very close to each other. And Brandon Walter as well in this mix. Brandon Walter had a rough start to tonight's race. Looks like Walter did miss the restart, the start to tonight's race in that Credit One bank machine. That's going to be a Chevy Camaro. He's watching a battle so far between the 55, the 911 of John LaBeouf and the 00 of Kyle Souza. Souza on the inside, LaBeouf on the outside. The odd man out of the exit of turn 2 seems to be John LaBeouf. John LaBeouf makes some contact with the outside wall of turn 2. Some damage has been sustained by the by John LaBeouf. His right side, that is. Hopefully it's not going to be affecting him whatsoever, if any. But so far seems to be doing well. He gets a good slingshot off turn 4. A good run against the position of Kyle Souza. But he backs off entering turn 1. When it comes down to it, ladies and gentlemen, it's all about setting each other up. It's all about getting runs against your opponents off the exits of these turns. So we've been seeing a lot of drivers basically trying to ride single file. That's not them just, you know, taking it easy. It's them just trying to buy their time, trying to pounce at a later stage in the race. And now the drivers have 26 laps on their tanks, and one driver will make that 2 drivers going down pit road as we speak. Stephen Harry and Stephen Walter. Yep, green flag, pit stops on the way, kicking in. First drivers pitting in with 26 laps of green flag on their tires. But up front, the 10 of Daniel Wilborn, and Daniel Wilborn's lead is now 2.8 seconds against second place driver 16 of Joni Pierce. So, man, Joni Pierce has a lot of work to do. The idea so far, ladies and gentlemen, it's always been the idea, basically, when it comes to green flag pit stops. The idea is to be as close as possible to the leader before going down pit road. So far here, Daniel Wilborn, with the lead he most likely is going to just pretty much run his tank dry, because he has nothing to lose. It all comes down to that fuel strategy. And now Daniel Wilborn coming up to 29 laps on his tires. Third, fourth place drivers Dale Robertson and Paul D. Johnson were going at it side by side, but Dale was able to maintain third place spot, back down single file. Paul D. Johnson backs it down and lives to fight another lap here before too long. And behind Paul D. Johnson is the 60 of Cotton Lane. I'm seeing a lot of drivers getting very, very loose, ladies and gentlemen, specifically on the exit of turn number 2. They have to be careful, be on their toes. As Cotton Lane gets loose off the exit of turn number 4, they get a little bit sideways. And Cotton Lane has been one of the loosest machines out there, looser machines, if you will. But it's been managing it quite well regardless. But Kyle Souza as well on pit road as we speak. Ladies and gentlemen, tires are going to be very, very important here tonight. So everybody under green flag conditions is going to have to take 4 tires. Well, they don't have to, but they most likely will. Well, in this case, majority of the field is going to take 4 tires, full tanks of gas. We have pit road getting busier by the lap. We have Brandon Walter, David Dreckman, and Paul D. Johnson all down pit road. And Paul D. Johnson leaving the on the backstretch as we speak, just exited pit road. And at this point, we have 15 drivers only on the lead lap due to this green flag pit stops. But once they come and go, most of these will be back to normal. And we have one more peeling off, 22 of Cessna going down pit road, this time around with James O'Brien. We have 23 of Craig Hawkins. I haven't spoken much of Craig Hawkins, if any, tonight. The T4C Racing driver here, currently on the inside of 6 of Steven Mattox, side by side for position number 8. And so far, they still need to pit in, but Dale Robertson, Cotton Lane, James O'Brien, Matthew Cessna, John Labath, and Ron McManus all down pit road as we speak. Eric Roberts as well joins the drivers down pit road. Eddie Hawks, Brandon Massey. Oh man, I just heard a big loud boom on the track. No harm done. We are still green flag racing. It's a nice save by the drivers. Actually, it was a contact between the wall and 6 of Steven Mattox, but he was able to stay off it unharmed. But up front, Daniel Wilborn is on pit road. Johnny Pierce, Dale Robertson, Eric Roberts all down pit road this time around. And Dustin Hall as well following. That means only 2 drivers left to pit in, namely Craig Hawkins and Steven Mattox. Craig Hawkins backing that sucker down as we speak on the apron, exiting turn number 4, going down pit road as we speak. And Steven Mattox, is he staying out? Yep, Steven Mattox stayed out 1 extra lap and is now the new race leader on lap 42. And this gives him 36 laps on his tires. So Steven Mattox once again being the only driver left to pit in for his first round of pit stops. Monitoring Steven Mattox, he's not backing that puppy down. He's going around one more time, giving him 37 laps on his tires. Yep, he's trying to run the tank dry. And the leader to be, once Steven Mattox pits in for his first run of green flag pit stop, first green flag pit stop, then leader to be will be the 14 of Paul D. Johnson. And so far, Paul D. Johnson is being shown 17 seconds behind Steven Mattox. And from the calculations, Steven Mattox is going to be overtaken most likely before he actually gets into his pit stall, or maybe while he's in his pit stall. So he might lose a lot of time, but so far the longer he stays out, the more time he loses. But hopefully it works out. Yep, Mattox getting overtaken left and right as though he's sitting on jack stands. That goes to show just how the tires are important. All these drivers getting around him have new tires compared to his 39 lap older tires. And they are getting around him as though he's sitting still. And now Paul D. Johnson is being shown 12 seconds behind the leader, Steven Mattox. So Paul D. Johnson made up 5 seconds on Mattox in 1.5 laps. That is not a good thing. So he will be most likely pitting in here before too long. But laps traffic keeps getting around him at a very fast rate. He's not fighting them, so no harm done. Going to second place spot, we have Daniel Wilborn, who just got around the 14 of Paul D. Johnson and bumps Paul D. Johnson down to third place, and Wilborn himself into second place spot. And as we speak, both Wilborn and Paul D. Johnson are now 8 seconds and decreasing behind the leader up front, the 6 of Steven Mattox, who still needs to pit in. Yeah, Mattox is still deciding to stay out, and this now gives him 43 laps on his tires this time around. And we have 60 of Cotton Lane. Cotton Lane has his eyes on the prize being the 14 of Paul D. Johnson. In turn, Paul D. Johnson is trying to catch up to the 10 of Daniel Wilborn for the second place spot, but there is a driver between him and Wilborn, and that is 55 of Steven Walker, who is the first driver 1 lap down. For the back in the pack, Dale Robertson as well, going against 45 of Eddie Hawks. They were side by side, but back down to single file. That is for 8th and 9th place spot. Well, in this case, for the 8th place spot. So Simtech Racing driver there, Eddie Hawks, trying to go at it against the 3 of Dale Robertson with the Simtech Racing driver. Well, basically they are teammates, is what I'm trying to say in this case. And they are still trying to go at it because this is going to help their team championship. Speaking of team championships, this is a good time to talk about that. These drivers also racing for the team championship standings. And so far, the team still in the lead is Simtech Racing. So Simtech Racing still leading in the team standings. Road Trip Racing in second, Overclock Motorsports third, Aeronic Sim Racing fourth, Nofia Racing fifth, Tifosi Racing 6th, and Ford Entertainment Group Motorsports 7th. So that's Simtech Racing, Road Trip Racing, Overclock Motorsports, Aeronic Sim Racing, Nofia Racing, Tifosi Racing, and Ford Entertainment Group Motorsports. So those 7 teams going at it for the team championship standings. And just a reminder, last season, the Ford Entertainment Group Motorsports is the one that brought home the team standings championship. That was the Ford Lane Motorsports Park. For the caution flies this time around, we're going to see what happened.
Well, as we saw that live, it was the 6 of Steven Mattox. We're going to go back and take a closer look at it here and see if we can see exactly what happened to him. But he went for a ride there as he got a bump from the 60 of Colton Lane. Oh, and he almost saved it, but it just was not able, got into the outside wall. Enough to bring out our second caution of the night.
Oh man, that's very unfortunate for the 6 of Steven Mattox and the other drivers involved. Cotton Lane and 55 of Steven Walter, who was eligible for the Lucky Dog, but not anymore, unfortunately. Oh man, and you know, the 6 of Mattox did not pit in, so him getting bumped like that was bad enough because he did not have any traction whatsoever, having over 45 laps on his tires and tank. But going back up front, we are being led by Daniel Wilborn, who now leads everybody down pit road. And going back to what I talked about before the caution had flown, the team champions of last season were the Ford Lane Motorsports team that included Jeffrey Ford, Stephen Mattox, Zachary York, and Cotton Lane. That's Cotton Lane, Zachary York, Stephen Mattox, and Jeffrey Ford. So these drivers trying to go at it again this season for that championship. Well, off pit road, we have Daniel Wilborn able to maintain his lead off pit road. Paul D. Johnson comes out second behind him, Cotton Lane third, Johnny Pierce fourth, and James O'Brien in the fifth place spot. And ladies and gentlemen, with 54 laps complete and 77 laps left in tonight's race, this gives us time for a race interview. Let's focus on the 22 of Cessna. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we joined up in the booth by 22 of Matthew Cessna. I got a call up there, Matthew?
Yeah.
How you doing tonight?
Good.
Well, man, you brought your A game here tonight. We noticed there early on how you decided to just pretty much let everybody by and try and save your tires, save your stuff. But how's the machine handling in tonight's race?
It's a little loose, especially on exit. It's slick.
Oh man, I can only imagine. And how did it seem to get any better or maybe worse in the long run?
Oh, it's definitely getting worse. I've been using wedge and tire pressure to try and tighten it up, and it's not really helping.
Oh, copy that, man. Sorry about that, but it seems like so far you have been managing it quite well, and not a single scratch on that beast. Very, very well dressed machine on your part. Currently in the 9th place spot. And Matthew here tonight, this is the end of the regular race season before the chase begins. How are you feeling this far in the season?
I've had a lot of bad luck. It seems. I've had a lot of fun. It's a good league, good group of guys.
Oh, most definitely, man. You've been doing the No Fear Racing team extra proud, and you have definitely bring your A game with every single race, and that is very commendable. And man, we'll hope that your machine gets better. But you've been taking some countermeasures to try and make it better. But you are now back 1 to green, so make us proud.
All right, thank you.
And that was 22 of Matthew Cessna with the No Fear Racing team. Here starting behind the 3 of Dale Robertson. And here we are being led by Daniel Wilborn with the help of Cotton Lane. Johnson on the outside with the help of 16 of Johnny Pierce. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are going green. The pace car dips off, and Wilborn finds the gas pedal. We are green flag racing. Cotton Lane gets around 14 of Johnson already before the start-finish line, before turn 1. And Cotton bumps himself up 2nd place, and Johnson down to 3rd, entering turn 1. Well, ladies and gentlemen, 57 laps in and 74 laps left. We take our first commercial break of the evening. We'll be right back, so please stay tuned. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Ironic Last Stand 195. That's the Ironic Last Stand 195, round 8. This is the chase, the race before the chase begins, and the end of the regular race season after tonight's race. At the same time, the final opportunity for the drivers to get themselves locked into this chase, where they only have 12 spots total. So 12 spots total in the chase. And ladies and gentlemen, for those of you interested in being a part of the action, if you'd like to be a driver of Precision Racing League, check them out at precisionracingleague.com. But you do have to race your way in, because they take only the best of the best drivers. At the same time, they cap their fields at 36 drivers, so no more than 36, so 36 drivers maximum, and that's precisionracingleague.com. Watching this live on the Dre Broadcasting Network, and we are still green flag racing, being led by Daniel Wilborn, Joni Pierce second, Cotton Lane third, Paul D. Johnson fourth, James O'Brien fifth, Dale Robertson sixth, Brandon Massey seventh, Eddie Hawks eighth, Matthew Cessna ninth, and John LaBeouf in the 10th place spot so far, rounding up the top 10. And unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, ever since the accident, unfortunately, we've lost the 6 of Steven Mattox. We'll look forward to seeing him back again next week. Chase Race 1 at Phoenix. And we are almost halfway. Well, we have crossed the halfway mark, actually. 69 laps in and 62 laps left in tonight's race. Yep, we have crossed the halfway mark. It just might be go time for some of these drivers. During the first round of pit stops, we noticed the drivers like up front, like Joni Pierce, Daniel Wilborn, they pitted in with about 36 laps, 34 to 36 laps on their tires and tank, but Mattox did decide to run his tank dry. He had about 45, 46 laps on his tires, but unfortunately, it did not end too well due to the help he had from the rear, and him having no traction made matters even worse. So here before too long, pit stops should kick in in the next 20 to 25 laps, so still a few laps left before that the time comes. But up front here we have Joni Pierce being shown 9/10 of a second behind the 10 of Daniel Wilborn. And we always talk about it time and time again. Daniel Wilborn is one of the fastest drivers in the long run. He is a long run driver, and these green flag conditions are really working with him and against some of his opponents out there. And Joni Pierce so far is doing a great job keeping up. The gap is staying nothing but consistent with every single lap. It keeps fluctuating. It goes up. It goes down. You could consider this a stalemate between the two drivers, Pierce and Wilborn. But for the back in the pack, we have the 28 of Eric Roberts going at it with the 23 of Craig Hawkins. And Craig Hawkins has sustained some heavy right front damage, right side damage, if you will, on his machine. And Eric Roberts gets around him off the exit of turn 2, entering turn 1. They end up going back down single file. That was a power move by Eric Roberts against Craig Hawkins. And with the damage on the machine of Hawkins, that most likely is affecting the machine, the rotation of it, if anything. And that's one thing they need, is rotation. And the 00 of Kyle Souza. Kyle Souza currently behind the 99 of Brandon Walter. Brandon Walter still being shown 5 laps down, hoping to get all 5 laps back before the race is over. Before the race ends here tonight. Had a bad start, or missed the start of the race. But, you know, he has a brand new machine. Not a single scratch on that beast. And well dressed once again. And so far, first driver, 1 lap down, 37 of Dustin Hall. We're speaking much of Dustin Hall tonight, if anybody is an amazing driver as well, in the 15th place spot. So much is on the line here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. These drivers knowing that it's their final chance, final opportunity for them to get themselves locked into this chase to go at it for the championship against 48 of Markel Murphy and receive the very, very beautiful trophy you see right before you on the bottom right of your screen right there. The trophy courtesy of John LaBeouf with the Precision Racing League American iRacing Sunday Series. So a lot is on the line. So tonight's race is all about take, and give nothing at all. 100% take and 0% give. Eddie Hawks having some difficulty with the machine. The machine is very, very tight. We spoke to 22 of Cisne. He talked about how the machine is tight. He's experiencing tight conditions tonight, and it's getting nothing but worse in the long run. You know, go figure. And same thing with Eddie Hawks, but Eddie Hawks is trying his best to counter it. No, Eddie Hawks goes sideways off the exit of turn 2. Hey, is able to hang on to it somehow. I thought he was done for, man. What a heck of a save by Eddie Hawks, but at the same time, he's now being approached by 28 of Eric Roberts, who's going to benefit from it. And Eric Roberts is bringing the 911 of John LaBeouf with him. And ladies and gentlemen, a reminder, the drivers here run open setups. That's open setups by the drivers. That means they can customize their vehicles to their liking. And with that said, some drivers are loose, some are tight, and some are balanced. Basically, it all comes down to the setup and the driver's driving styles. The machines do handle differently based on the setups. When we talked to Cisna, he talked about how he's trying to counter the damage. I mean, not the damage. Trying to counter the looseness of the machine. I mean, the tightness and the looseness of the machine by pretty much messing with it on pit road, by messing with the tire pressures and the wedge to try and help that. But so far, he said he was not having that much luck, or as much luck as he would like. And as we speak, Cisna so far being shown in the 8th place spot behind the 11 of Massey. The field is getting nothing but spread out with every single lap. At this point, ladies and gentlemen, these drivers now have 28 laps, 27 to 28 laps since their last pit stops during the last caution we had, which in this case, 28 laps ago. With that said, green flag pit stops here are kicking in before too long. So 28 laps in here in the next less than 10 laps to go, and I mean 10 laps in, 10 laps more, green flag pit stops will kick in. You know, and at this point as well, the drivers who ended up pushing very early on, by pushing I mean racing hard, trying to take advantage of the fresh tires during the first, during the early stage of that run. This run, that is, the early stage of this run, those drivers are now paying the price, and the drivers who saved their tires are now the drivers who are on top. And as we speak, so far up front, Joni Pierce is now 2 seconds behind Daniel Wilborn. And at this point, 47 laps left in tonight's race. yeah, 47 laps left in tonight's race, which means this pit stop coming up will be the final pit stops for every driver out there. They'll be able to make it the rest of the way when it comes down to it. And we have one driver going down pit road as we speak. It's the 3 of Dale Robertson. Yep, Dale Robertson pitting in with 46 laps left in the race. Well, at this point now we have 45 laps remaining in tonight's race. And now it all comes down to strategy, ladies and gentlemen. The strategy is what it comes down to. So drivers just might run their tanks dry. Some might follow the lead of the leaders up front, and some might follow the majority of the field. And we also have now Brandon Massey going down pit road as we speak. And the strategies of pit stops are always influenced by the scenarios. In this case, Daniel Wilborn up front having a 2.6-second lead against second place driver Johnny Pierce. With that said, that's going to influence the pit strategy of Daniel Wilborn. He might choose to run his tank dry because he knows he has nothing to lose. But if Johnny Pierce goes down pit road before Daniel Wilborn does, the longer Daniel Wilborn stays out, the more Johnny Pierce will catch up to him due to those newer tires. So the scenarios do play a very key role, key factor in the pit strategies. We have Stephen Harry, Eric Roberts, and Dustin Hall going down pit road as we speak. James O'Brien bumped down to 4th place by the 60 of Colton Lane. Colton Lane now in 3rd place, up in the podium. The drivers now having 36 laps on their tires and tank. That is 1st through 10th place drivers. Daniel Wilborn down to Kyle Souza, but Craig Hawkins, Kyle Souza, Eric Roberts down pit road as we speak. And 22 of Matthew Cisna is on pit road. John LaBeouf as well accompanying him on pit road this time around. And the drivers left on the lead lap needing to pit in include Daniel Wilborn, Johnny Pierce, Colton Lane, James O'Brien, Paul D. Johnson, and Eddie Hawks. These 6 drivers need to pit in. They're the only ones left on the lead lap who need to pit in is what I'm trying to say. And the lead between the top 2 drivers, Wilborn and Pierce, is now 3 seconds flat. So his lead is getting nothing but bigger against Pierce and the rest of the field. Colton Lane backing it down, the Napa Auto Parts machine going down pit road as we speak. And that moves everybody up 1 spot. James O'Brien now 3rd, Paul D. Johnson 4th, and Colton Lane in the 5th place spot. But Colton Lane here still on pit road as we speak. And Paul D. Johnson, James O'Brien both peeling off, including, everybody now peeling off, going down pit road. Daniel Wilborn, Johnny Pierce, James O'Brien, Paul D. Johnson. And Paul D. Johnson punted the pit entrance cone. So hopefully he's not going to be penalized for having an unsafe pit entrance because he almost missed it. Hopefully that's not the case, but we are still green flag. And that's everybody on the lead lap. Everybody on the lead lap has gone on and off pit road. And now 38 laps left. So now we have David Dreckman and Zachary York, the only two drivers needing to pit in. And they're both not on the lead lap. Well, during this second and final pit stop of the evening, we had Daniel Wilborn have a 14.8 second pit stop, Johnny Pierce 15.3 seconds, James O'Brien 14.9 seconds, Paul D. Johnson 14.6 seconds, Eddie Hawks 14 seconds flat, Dale Robertson 14.1 seconds, Cotton Lane 15.4 seconds, Eric Roberts 15 seconds flat, Matthew Cisna 14.2 seconds flat, Kyle Souza 14.6, Craig Hawkins 15.6 seconds, John LaBeouf 14.9 seconds, Stephen Harry 13.3 seconds, Dustin Hall 15.9 seconds, Brandon Massey 8.8 seconds, Brandon Walter 14.1 seconds, and David Dreckman, actually he still needs to pit in, Ron McManus 1.6 seconds. Since he last pitted in, but you know, he actually had some bad luck early on where he disconnected from the server. He lost connection. So the drivers who took 4 tires, the driver who had the fastest pit stop was the 94 of Stephen Harry, 13.3 seconds spent on pit road. And the drivers taking 2 tires, Brandon Massey, 8.8 seconds on pit road. He had the fastest pit stop for the drivers who took 2 tires. Well, ladies and gentlemen, with that 35 laps left, I'm going to take a final commercial break of the evening. We'll be right back, so please stay tuned.
Don't let your first date be your last. Visit People Against Distracted Driving at PADD.org.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the ironic Last Stand 195. That's the ironic Last Stand 195, round number 8 of 8. The race before the chase, at the same time the end of the regular race season. Well, here we are live at Texas Motor Speedway, here on the Dre Broadcasting Network, and tonight everybody going at it, trying to get themselves locked into the chase, knowing that this is the last opportunity, last chance to get that accomplished, to get a shot at being the new champion of the Precision Racing League American iRacing Sunday Series, and getting that nice big trophy on the bottom right of your screen, courtesy of John LaBeouf with the PRL American iRacing Sunday Series. And ladies and gentlemen, we have a special guest up here in the booth. It is one of the drivers, 11 of Brandon Massey. How are you doing tonight, Brandon? How are you doing tonight?
I was doing better, but I'm doing great. Let's see if anybody here can catch Daniel.
Absolutely, yeah. We noticed you had some bad luck, man, but still a heck of an appearance on your parts tonight, and had some great success last week at Iowa Speedway. And yeah, Daniel, man, has proved to be a fast driver all season long. We talk about how he's one of those drivers who takes advantage of the long run. Basically, Daniel and the long run go side by side. They go hand in hand. And so far, Johnny Pierce being shown about 2.6 seconds behind him. And at this point, Brandon, all that Johnny Pierce can hope for is that Wilborn gets slowed down by lapsed traffic, because there's a lot of it.
Oh yeah, we've got what we got 12 cars on the lead lap now. So people everywhere right now.
Yeah, just about, 12 drivers on the lead lap, and a lot of drivers one or more laps down. So yeah, the laps traffic just might work against Wilborn, but with 16 of Johnny Pierce. And speaking of Daniel Wilborn, his next victim is 45 of Eddie Hawks. Eddie Hawks, last driver on the lead lap, vulnerable to going a lap down here before too long if Wilborn gets around him, and Eddie Hawks trying his best to avoid that. And as we spoke right there, Brandon, a position change between second and third place drivers. Paul D. Johnson now second place and bumped Pierce down to the third place spot. And they are now single file as we speak. And both are 2.9 to 3 seconds behind Wilborn.
Oh yeah, and as you said too about the chase, Paul desperately needs to get up there and pass him, because if you win, you're in the chase. Paul may not get in points-wise, but if he can get up there and pass Daniel, he's in. Where you've got Johnny, who's already got his win, so he's got a guaranteed spot.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, and with 21 laps left, it is possible for Paul D. Johnson to catch up to Daniel Wilborn and make that a reality. And also, we spoke to one of the drivers early on in the race under one of the cautions. That was Matthew Cisna. We talked about how you guys were experiencing, well, oh man, Johnny Pierce goes sideways off the exit of turn 4, smacks the wall, but it's still green flag racing. But going back to Cisna, he talked about how the machine was getting very tight, tight conditions basically with the machines tonight. But at the same time, we do keep in mind that you guys run open setups. Did you have any of those problems yourself? Oh, unfortunately, we've lost the 11 of Brandon Massey. Connection problems, but he will be back here before too long. Well, going back to the race, the updated top 10, Daniel Wilborn first, Paul D. Johnson second, Johnny Pierce third, James O'Brien fourth, Colton Lane fifth, Dale Robertson sixth, Matthew Cisna seventh, John LaBeouf, John LaBeouf eighth, Craig Hawkins ninth, and Kyle Souza in the 10th place spot.
Just looking at the points here, Sean. Right now, Paul D. Johnson's sitting 10th in points. He's 98 points back from the leader, but he's only 3 points behind Kyle Souza. He is, it looks like, 9 points behind Stephen Harry, and about 11, 12 points behind Brandon Walter. And up in the top 5, we have only 3 drivers that are guaranteed a spot. So I think coming out in second, he's got a good chance of coming away here and be able to get into the chase in points.
Yep, that is correct there, Dave. With us having 3 winners who get in, that leaves 9, the top 9 in points getting in. So if he can just get up to that 9th place spot, he will probably lock himself in.
Oh, absolutely. And the good thing about this too is that, you know, he's made at least 6 races all season long. So that's very great to see. And so far, you know, even though he knows that he most likely will be in this chase to win it, he still is giving it all he has to try and win tonight's race, have a heck of an end to the season. And so far, he's now 2.8 seconds behind the race leader, Daniel Wilborn, and now giving us only 11 drivers left on the lead lap because Eddie Hawks went 1 lap down.
Well, I mean, just looking here, he's 11 points behind Brandon Walter. Brandon Walter currently running back in 16th. That's 14 positions. So if he was even to come away with a 2nd place finish here, Paul D. Johnson's got a good chance of jumping from 10th to 7th position, which, like Brandon Massey there said, would give him a great chance to lock himself in on points.
What to keep in mind too, that these will shift a little. We allow each driver to have a drop week where they'll drop their worst finishing race, and that will be applied at the conclusion of tonight's event. So he could go a little bit more back based on that or more forward. We'll have to just wait and see.
Oh man, most definitely. That's a good thing for those drivers, and it will be a game changer for most. And that means, ladies and gentlemen, their worst race, one of their worst races will be dropped, which means it will not count against them, and that's going to help everybody in the points. So things will jump around after tonight's race, and as we speak, Johnson is still going at it, trying to just get around every single driver in his way. And at this point in tonight's race, we are less than 20 laps to go. We have 14 laps left in tonight's race, and Johnny Pierce in the 3rd place spot has been caught by the 9 of James O'Brien. Actually caught and overtaken.
I tell you what, I got to give credit to that 9 of James O'Brien. Started back at 18th, didn't really push the issue, and look, I mean, just in the race, he has gained 15 spots, now running in the top 3.
Yeah, man, yeah, that's very impressive. You know, he had to work very hard to do that, you know, with all the conditions going on the racing surface out there. He held his own with the 60 of Cotton Lane as well, because they're both running the Napa know-how machines, but they are not teammates. And so far, James O'Brien is next, victim 14 of Paul D. Johnson. And Brandon, there before you disconnected, I was asking a question before we lost connection. We talked about how the drivers are having a lot of different effects with their machines. Basically, some are loose, some are tight. How was your experience tonight?
Oh yeah, for me, it was definitely tight. It was tight to the point that by the time you ran 10, 15 laps, you were just loose because they had nothing to hold you on the track. So before I had my machine issues there, I was working on loosening it up. But yeah, definitely.
Oh man, I can only imagine. And surprisingly, you know, Brandon, we time and time again, the outside lane has been known to come to life. You know, at least 30 laps in or more. That's 30 laps in or more. But tonight, that was not the case.
Oh yeah, Texas, it seems like the worst thing you could ever do is to try to consistently run that high line, because it's just going to make that tight condition they're feeling even worse as it melts that right front off and just makes them even looser.
Oh, makes a lot of sense. Yep, so the preferred race groove here tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is the inside and middle lane. It has been all race long and continues to be as we speak. And further back in the pack so far, we have 60 of Cotton Lane. He has his eyes on a prize, the prize being 16 of Johnny Pierce. At this point, we have only 6 drivers left on the lead lap. That's 6 drivers left on the lead lap. Daniel Wilborn, Paul D. Johnson, James O'Brien, Johnny Pierce, Cotton Lane, and Matthew Cisna all hard at work, putting everybody a lap down, everybody in their way. A lap down or laps down in this case. So we have Craig Hawkins, Dale Robertson, John LaBeouf, Kyle Souza, Eric Roberts, Eddie Hawks, Stephen Harry. These drivers all racing hard for position number 7 for the Lucky Dog as well. And less than 10 laps to go, ladies and gentlemen. Less than 10 laps to go, namely 8 laps left. In tonight's race, it is go time. Yeah, Daniel Wilborn has proven to be an impossible driver to beat in the long run, and now his lead is 4.8 seconds, almost 5 seconds ahead or against second place driver Paul D. Johnson, and it seems to be getting nothing but bigger. And so far, a Sunday drive by Daniel Wilborn. He knows he has clean air. He just has to stay alive and make sure the machine does not come around on him, because the race is not over until it's over. Things can still go wrong. And now 6 laps left, 6 laps left, and Daniel Wilborn has his eyes on one more driver, 22 of Cessna. Cessna, last driver on the lead lap, vulnerable to going a lap down before too long if he gets overtaken. Cessna stays high and lets the 10 of Daniel Wilborn by, and no harm done. And this gives us only 5 drivers left on the lead lap.
Also, only 5 laps to go, which means next flag will pretty much end the race here.
Oh yeah, next flag ends the race. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the drivers to be as high up as they possibly can, because they know the next flag will end the race. It is go time for every single one, and 0% give, 100% take. Colton Lane here is now behind 16 of Johnny Pierce, and this is the closest battle we have so far. Off the exit of turn 2, Cotton smacks the wall. Oh man, all speed, all momentum lost. And a lot of time to go with it. But we are still green flag racing. Very unfortunate. A lot of lapped machines here being approached by the drivers. We have Paul D. Johnson has inside, 911 John LaBeouf, he has Dale Robertson and David Dreckman inside, including Craig Hawkins. Well, Brandon, looks like Johnson is not going to be able to catch up to Daniel Wilborn because he has 4 drivers in between him and Wilborn.
I can guarantee you Paul tried his heart out. This man races harder than I've ever seen anybody race. He never gives up.
Oh, indeed, man. And, you know, only with 2 laps left, he's come a long way tonight, man, from 13th place to 2nd place. With some bad luck there, mid-pack in the race. He gets around 911 of John LaBeouf. But up front here, Daniel Wilborn across start-finish line for lap number 130. The white flag is out. Final lap of tonight's race. Entering turn 3 as we speak, that clean air for the 10 of Daniel Wilborn. Gonna bring this thing home and challenge, giving him his 3rd win of the season. What a heck of a way to end the season.
Oh yeah, that was a great showing by Daniel. He really sets the bar high.
Yeah, and coming up behind him is going to be the 14 of Paul D. Johnson, 3rd place driver, 9 of James O'Brien, 4th place Johnny Pierce, and 5th place Colton Lane, 1st through 5th, respectively. What a heck of a race by the drivers. And top 3 interviews coming up, Daniel Wilborn, Paul D. Johnson, and James O'Brien. So please stay tuned. And also an expected burnout or smoke show by Daniel Wilborn. So stay tuned.
Did you guys just see what?
The camera is all yours, Daniel, so please continue burning it down.
Oh yeah.
Well, we're joined up in the booth by the 10 of Wilborn, Paul D. Johnson, and James O'Brien. And we have lost picture there on the broadcast, but we're trying to get it back as soon as we can. We apologize. But here, Daniel Wilborn, this is your third win of the season, doing the Overclock Motorsports Team extra proud. How are you doing tonight? Good crop there, Daniel.
Yeah.
There you are. How are you doing tonight, man? How are you doing tonight?
Doing alright.
Well, what a heck of a showing on your part. Every single time we have green flag pit stops. Every single time we have green flag pit stops there, Daniel, it seems as though you're always unbeatable. And tonight you led the most laps. How's your experience tonight?
Yeah, it was a really good start. I had a good qualifying run, and first run I was a little loose, but other than that, my crew chief Chris was making adjustments to the car each time. It was getting faster and faster, and I was able to drive it off turn 4.
And I should ask this, Daniel, what's your secret to being this fast, being being aggressive at the same time, being smart?
That's a whole lot of throttle control and just a lot of patience, not trying to get back on it too much.
Oh, most definitely, man. And Daniel, very successful season on your part, but unfortunately, you will not be locked. You won't be racing in this chase with these drivers. But we still look forward to seeing you back for Chase Race 1 next week at Phoenix. With that said, what expectations for Phoenix next week?
I won't be able to make next week's race because I gotta work.
Oh, 10-4, man. Well, we look forward to seeing you after that for Chase Race 2. Oh, in finals, will you go?
Yeah, I like to thank Dustin for the setup. He's been working hard on this setup, and for Chris making the changes and just racing with Johnny and them, and just doing a lot of practice with them the night before this race.
Well, buddy, congrats on your success here all season long and in tonight's race. And we look forward to seeing you after next week for Chase Race number 2. Go celebrate.
All right, thank you.
That was Daniel Wilborn, Overclock Motorsports driver for his third win of the season. But next in line is Road Trip Racing driver Paul D. Johnson. Good cop there, Paul.
Yeah, I'm here. What's up, guys?
How you doing tonight?
Pretty good. That's best finish I've had all season, so.
Well, buddy, what a heck of a way to end the season. And tonight, man, you did not have the best conditions by the sounds of it. Even though the track temp was, 82 degrees, with the air temp was 69 degrees, the setups were not really doing too well out there. Well, for some of the drivers. But how was your experience tonight?
It was really good. Our set was really stable, especially for the long run. It did have some I actually had it a little bit tighter, so I had to sacrifice a little bit on the front end, but I think on the long run it made the car a little bit less loose, and kind of along what Daniel said, it's really important here, throttle control. It's so easy to get the back end loose coming out of especially 4.
Oh, most definitely. At one point, actually more than one point, we noticed you were sideways. Also, even on the exit of turn 2 as well. There, at least with about 30 to 32 laps on your tires at that point. But you were still doing an amazing job regardless. Still battling, having excellent green flag pit stops, and ending your season, the regular season, pretty well. And Paul, you are most likely in this chase in it to win it. How are you feeling this far?
I feel pretty good. I mean, I think I'm looking forward to the chase. Having kind of a restart at the end makes it, up for grabs. Whereas with points, it can just kind of be one or two people run away from it. So it'll be interesting. This is our first time doing a chase, so I'm really looking forward to that. I'm hoping, I know they're going to go through drop weeks because everyone gets a drop week, so we'll see if that shuffles up the standings at all. But because I don't have a win, so I'm not locked in, but we'll see if this bumps up at all.
Oh, copy that. Yeah, most definitely, man. Starting tonight's race, you were 10th place in points. And with your amazing finish tonight, that should move you up a couple of spots, if any. We look forward to seeing you getting crowned or going to the road to the championship and getting the amazing trophy here by John LaBeouf for being the champion. Oh, before I let you go in, final words.
Yeah, I want to say thank you to our team, Brandon, Walter, all the guys at Road Trip Racing, Brandon Walter, James O'Brien, David Dreckman, myself, and Chris Perez, and for all the work we've been putting in this week. These guys have really spent a lot of time on setups. David Dreckman and James, two of the guys, those two work really well together and have really put together some good setups this season. We had a great one at Iowa last week too, and I screwed that one up. But and then I want to thank Area 51 Chassis Design. They've been assisting with some of our setups as well. And it really has been paying off. We've had some pretty good setups. Now, if we could just put a good driver like more of James behind the wheel instead of me, but we'll figure it out.
Well, buddy, you've done an amazing job all season long, and what a heck of a way to end your season here tonight. Paul D. Johnson, second place, Paul D. Johnson, ahead of your teammate, in this case, 9 of James O'Brien, and most likely in this chase in it to win it. So, man, that's a success in my book anytime. We look forward to seeing you next week for Chase Race 1 at Phoenix. Go celebrate.
Sounds good. Thank you.
That was Paul D. Johnson, a Road Trip Racing driver. But next in line is his teammate, James O'Brien, a chase driver already. Get a cup there, James.
What's up, Sean? How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Not too bad. It was a pretty relaxing race for me.
Indeed, it was. The only time we saw you up front in the top 5 was about 30 laps to go in the race. And you kept a low profile all race long, man. And last week you talked about how you were going to pretty much treat this track like Charlotte Motor Speedway. How did that work out for you today?
It was actually a lot different. We were prepared for a hot track, and it was a lot cooler than we expected it to be. So we had to make a few adjustments before the race, and that worked out pretty well. We had long run dialed in almost from the start, and we weren't even worried about that. It was speed, we had it, and then it didn't seem to be where we wanted it to be, so I didn't even qualify. I was like, you know what, I'm already locked in. I want Paul or Brandon or David to actually lock themselves in. So I kind of wanted to let Paul finish ahead of me, so all the points he could get. I was just trying to help out, and I'm glad we got second, third, because that was awesome. I think this is my second worst finish of the season. I got a 7th, so I'll have a pretty good drop week.
Oh, most definitely, man. But, it's still an amazing showing on your part here in tonight's race and all season long. And talking about, treating this this track not being the way you expected it to be, basically it being cooler than you had hoped for. You were still able to adapt well enough, buy your time, learn the machine, learn the handling all race long, and made it count towards the very end of the race. And James, you are locked into this chase and going at it for the championship. With that said, man, next, the first race, it's always good to make a first impression because it always paves the way for the next upcoming races. What do you have planned for next week at Phoenix?
Just a clean finish. I never really... There's certain tracks I can go in and say, yeah, I'm going to win this race or I'm going to prepare to win it, but Phoenix is kind of got two heads. It could be a short track that's can cause a lot of wrecks, or has a lot of green flag looks too, or it can be kind of like today. So you just really want to go in and just kind of compete, but stay clean, keep your nose clean. It's definitely a driver's track. I've never been the best at Phoenix. I don't know why. I think I overdrive it a little bit. So I just want to come out of there with the top 5 if possible.
Oh, most definitely, man. Well, with all you've driven all season long, the podium should not be a problem. But congratulations on being locked into the chase, and congrats on your success all season long. And we look forward to seeing you back again next week at Phoenix. But before we go celebrate, any final words?
Yeah, thanks David and all our team. We've been working real hard, and as Paul said, Area 51 chassis design, having them on board has been helping a lot, especially more people to bounce ideas off of. And you guys for broadcasting still, and Brandon and Chris and Jerome for running this league. It's the only league I ever run, and the only one I've ever been happy with. It's a great group of people here. It's a lot of fun. I can't wait for next season because we're going to start mimicking the real NASCAR schedule, which will make practice and setup building a lot nicer. So,
well, brother, congrats on your success once again tonight and all season long. And go get ready for next week. We look forward to seeing you on the podium.
All right. Thanks, Sean. Have a good night.
And that was James O'Brien, road trip racing driver. But we are joined back here with by Paul D. Johnson, who has a special announcement for the viewers. Get a go up there, Paul. Oh, I'm not hearing any sound from you, Paul. I can see your mic activating.
Can you hear me now?
There we go, loud and clear.
Okay. So, yeah, I just wanted to say this is going to scare a lot of our hundreds of thousands of viewers, but I completely forgot to thank my first kid for waiting. Her due date is today, so she has officially waited for after the race, so I got to get the race in. So I have to give a shout out to my wife and first kid, who waited for after this race to be born, so I could be here.
Oh man, that's good. That's amazing news. And Paul Johnson, man, congratulations.
Thank you. I just wanted to share that. That's pretty exciting. Pretty exciting part. New member of PRL here pretty soon.
And that was the 14 of Paul D. Johnson, road trip racing driver, with a child on the way. So congratulations to Paul D. Johnson in tonight's race and in real life. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us tonight for the ironic Last Stand 195, the race for the chase. The end of the regular race season, and tonight was the last chance for the drivers to get themselves locked into the chase. And so next week the chase begins with Chase Race 1 being held at Phoenix Raceway. And we were joined here for the last couple of laps of the race by one of the drivers, 11 of Brandon Massey. Brandon, man, thanks very much for coming up, joining up in the booth here with the Dre Broadcasting Network and helping us call the action live to the viewers. Texas, I look forward to seeing you next week, man. It's been a heck of a season, a heck of a ride.
Hey, yo, guys, thanks for letting me join. See you next week.
And that was Brandon Massey here tonight, finishing in the 19th place spot behind 78 of Ron McManus. Well, thanks for joining us, ladies and gentlemen, once again on the Dre Broadcasting Network. We can never ever thank you guys enough. And Chase Race 1 next week at Phoenix Raceway. So for the first two chase races, after the second chase race, the bottom 6 drivers in the points will be dropped, which means the last 6 drivers, or the first 6 drivers in this case, left in the chase will be the ones competing for the championship in the final 2 races, in this case, Chase Race 3 and Chase Race number 4. And just to give you guys a highlight of what's to come in the schedule, so next week, Chase Race 1 at Phoenix, the next race, Chase Race 2 at Watkins Glen International, Chase Race 3 at Kentucky, and the final chase race at Chicagoland Speedway. So Phoenix International and Watkins Glen, there will be the first 2 races, and after Watkins Glen, the bottom 6 drivers in the chase will be dropped. And also, this is a good time to talk about this. The points will be reset after tonight's race, so the drivers in the chase are the only ones who will be in points, and they will be given 1,000 points each, and they'll start from there. And it's going to pretty much act as the same way that the points act in the regular race season. The next broadcast we have is on Saturday night. That's Saturday night with the Roaring Thunder Racing League IndyCar Verizon IndyCar Series, actually Roaring Thunder Racing League for the season finale. So we look forward to seeing you guys there if you'd like to be a part of the action. I am Sean Zulu and David Everly behind the cameras, and check out the PrecisionRacingLeague.com at their website. That's PrecisionRacingLeague.com. Also want to thank them for having the Dre Broadcasting on board. Have a good night. Thanks for watching.